I believe that everyone has made their own share of mistakes when they are just starting out trading, and today I'm just going to be sharing some mistakes that I made as a beginner, as a complete beginner to forex trading, right? And some of them I'm actually even shy that even up to now, even when I think about them, I'm actually surprised what I used to think, because some of them are so much embarrassing. And so I'm just going to be sharing some of the mistakes that I remember that I've made, right? And maybe they might be able to help you if you're just starting out trading, right? But don't laugh at me, because I've made quite a few. I have made a handful of my, so like I've made my own share of mistakes, right? So first of all, right, if you've got any mistakes that you've made that I will leave, alright, just comment them in the comment section down below. Right, so first of all, the first mistake that I made was not changing the lot size after entering in entry, right? So what used to happen was I used to enter boom and crash. Those are the pairs that I usually traded, right? So yeah, I was entering boom and crash. Then when I started trading volatility indices, right, I still remember back in the day V100 and V75 were still moving like crazy, right? So just imagine you just finish entering your boom, maybe boom 500, you see a 20 cents lot, right? And of course, when you go to the volatility indices, you don't, when you change the pair, you don't check. I didn't check, in fact, I didn't check the lot size, right? I just press the order button and just click, right? And the moment you see the trades, ooh, and my mistake was also not starting out on demo first, right? So imagine it was a real account, guys. It was a real account, right? And just opening a trade and you just see straight. That time I entered V100, right? And the moment I entered the trade, guys, I don't want to explain a lot, but I was just lucky, right? Because it actually went into profit, right? So imagine just entering a trade and jumping into $15 straight into profit. Right? That's when I immediately noticed that there was something wrong, and I immediately closed the trade. But I keep imagining it had just going to red straight away. Imagine what would have happened. Yeah, I don't want even to think about it. Another mistake that I've made, that I still make actually, right, now and then, right, is not withdrawing the profits that I've made. Right, so I think most of you actually have this same problem also, right, not withdrawing when you've made money, right? So what happens is, maybe you deposit $40, $50, right, and you even grow that account to 100, 200, right? But as for me, I still believe that in order to succeed in trading, right, you need a capital of maybe 5,000. Okay, you need a large amount of capital, right? So you just think to yourself, maybe I should just withdraw maybe a few bucks to buy data or something like that, and leave the rest to grow, right? Most of the times, what usually happens is you're gonna face a lot of drawdown, and usually that's when your emotions start kicking in. So you end up taking trades that aren't worth it in order to recover the money that you have lost. So what I encourage you guys is to always withdraw some money, right? So what you can do is maybe have a 50-50 if you want to grow that account, right? If you want to grow the account size, right? Maybe do a 50-50, just have a ratio 70-30. It depends on your goals, right? But always withdraw the money, always withdraw some money at least, right? So that it can be helpful to you, right? Because if you don't withdraw anything, of course you're going to be bound to be frustrated. Let's say you'd made $500 and you didn't even withdraw a cent. Now you are facing a drawdown of $200, right? Imagine the mental strain that it has on you, right? So of course you are bound to make some irrational decisions, right? So that's what I encourage you guys to do. If you've made a profit, it's easier to just withdraw, right? Third mistake that I've made was information congestion, right? So when I was just starting out trading, right, I was just trading on coin crash and was going for the spikes, right? And luckily the trend was in my favor, right? And I was just using the RSI, and the RSI reached, was it 70? I don't remember. I quite remember the level that we were using, but those overbought and oversold levels, right? And it reached those regions, right? And I just enter my trades and I make money, right? And I later moved on to some simple strategies, right? and I was still making money, right? Of course, I was making losses here and there, but overall, I was profitable, right? And when you start making money, you now have money to buy mentorships and everything else, right? So, and maybe what I did was buy indicators and a lot of stuff, guys. But what I just had to say is that it's like congestion of information, right? So yeah, I advise you to learn more strategies, right? Of course, but don't learn them all at once. So like, don't apply everything at once in one go, right? First of all, learn a certain strategy, right? When you are used to that strategy, advance to the next and advance to the next in stages, right? Don't just go all in. You are studying 5 different things at once. That will mess up your entries, your everything, how you enter, your psychology. Sometimes it's either you enter trades when they are not ready, right? Or sometimes you are going to leave trades that you would have taken before and you would have made money, right? And when you get that fear of missing out, you are going to enter trades that aren't ready yet. Why? Because you are now looking for too many things, right? So I advise you to learn more strategies, right? But in a sequence, right? When you're used to this strategy, then you can add on that, right? And also look for strategies that correlate, right? So like that you can implement together, that you can use in conjunction with it, yeah, in conjunction with each other, right? I think that was wrong, right? But look for those strategies, so like that are related to each other. Don't go looking for the RSI in one strategy, and the other one you're looking for MACD or Ichimoku. Yeah. Don't overcomplicate things. Just if you're looking for price action, go for price action or supply and demand. So like those related topics that you can mix together in order to get perfect entries, right? And look for those strategies that you can be able to implement, so like that are relatable to each other, right? Then another way that you can actually another strategy that you can just use to screen the strategies is just following market structure. If you just follow market structure, I can bet if you just know market structure, you won't make that many losses, right? If you're just going in line with the trend, knowing the market structure, higher time frame, drop down time frame analysis, right? And if you know all that, I know that you are not going to be making so many losses, right? Of course, you're going to be able to filter those trades, but not knowing where the trend is, that's where the problem begins, right? So I advise you to also learn about market structure, right? And then the 7th mistake is ignoring what the market is saying. So as for me, I have this belief, especially if those intelligent ones are in trouble, those who think that they are always correct, right? So like, how do I explain this? But it's one of those things that I'm embarrassed even to say, right? But it's when you've got a certain analysis or a setup, right? And you want the market to do exactly what you predicted, right? According to the book, right? But the market doesn't work according to the book or according to the rules. There's no set standard of how the market is supposed to behave, right? So most of the times you're going to end up either holding a trade that's going against you, and you're just saying the market has to do this. The market isn't your servant. It's not going to do everything that you want it to do, right? So just react to what it is doing currently, right? Don't overcomplicate things. Don't think that if you studied ICT, the market is now going to follow what your guru taught you or whatever, right? Just follow simple price action. What are the candlesticks telling you? What is the structure telling you? If there's a breaking market structure or change of character, just be able to pick up those things and make your decisions wisely, right? Because most of the times, if you ignore what the market is telling you, you are going to hold losses, or you are going to, or maybe enter trades that aren't ready yet, or stuff like that. There are many things that can go wrong if you are not following correct market structure, right? So, and the 7th thing that I want to talk about is competition and comparison, right? So what usually happens is this, right? Let's say you are following me, right? Maybe on Insta, whatever, or maybe you're even in a social group, right? WhatsApp group or whatever, right? And you see that such and such made a profit of 1,000, so and so made a profit of 500, and you so like that gets to your head. This one bought a Brabus, this one bought a what? Now that gets to your head, right? So don't compare yourself with others. Everyone has stages, right? So you can compare. I can compare myself with someone who's just starting trading today, right? Of course, if they want to compete with me, right? How do you explain this? Even if I'm not that profitable, but of course I know some setups that are going to work, right? So I know the setups that are going to pay. Maybe I know those setups only come once in a while, and I make 5,000 that day, right? And you want to copy me, you think that, so like that's how I trade every day. Maybe it was just a one I like of that day, right? And you want to copy me, you want to compete with me, you end up losing your money because you are going to over leverage, over risk, and you end up losing your money. And you don't know where to over risk, when to do that. You don't have the experience, right? So work according to your trading plan, right? The account, the lot size that suits your account, right? The account size, and so like just your psychology. Don't force things, right? If you're a scalper, you're a scalper. If you're whatever you are, stick to that. Don't copy others, don't compete with others, right? Stick to what works for you, right? And don't compare yourself with others, right? Just because someone gets sniper entries, you want to also get sniper entries, but you know that doesn't work for you. Stick to what you know, stick to what you can do best, right? Then over leveraging, right? That's almost so like the same point, right? So over leveraging, over risking, right? You are entering so like what do they always say? No risk, no lamb, or something like along those lines. Or as he said that buy a Ferrari or Ferrero, something has to happen. Okay, but don't over leverage, guys. I highly advise against that, right? Stick to risk management, right? Of course, I'm not saying 2% risk management, risk to reward ratio, 2% risk, 2% of your account, especially if they're small accounts, $500 accounts and below. Of course, that's not going to work, right? But risk accordingly. You don't have to over leverage to go full margin on it, one trade, right? If you lose that trade and you've got no capital to trade also, right? So don't over leverage your account, right? Then another thing is knowing that you won't make money quick, right? So just because you see someone successful today doesn't mean that it was just overnight success, right? It wasn't overnight success. They took their time studying, right? Studying, practicing. They even lost money, right? But it doesn't mean that the success that you see today, it wasn't overnight, right? So people usually think about success as an event, but what they don't know is that success is actually a process, right? You just see someone today, maybe let's say, how do I say? Maybe you see someone just becoming a billionaire today, right? And you're just thinking to yourself, just last week he was only in his million, he was only a millionaire, he only had 2 million, right? But you don't know the work that they were putting in, you don't know what they were doing all that while. Maybe it took 10 years in order for that event to happen that you want to call success, right? It took a lot of time, right? And he was patient enough to wait for that time, right? So you just have to know that your time will also come. You don't have to over risk, you don't have to over leverage your account, right? Okay, so you also have to know when to quit trading. I don't want to say quit, but so like when to rest, when to take a break, right? As for me, if I have a streak of losses, I don't delete my MT5, but I don't even look at the charts for a while, right? I can take 2-3 days off the charts, right? Or I can even withdraw all my money, right, and leave it in the, so like, how do you call this, the bank, so like, right, so that I don't enter the trade. Even if I just look at the markets it's just a norm to look at the markets, but I don't get tempted to enter that trade, right? So if you you have to know when you have to quit, you have to know when you have to take a break, because if you don't take a break, you are going to keep on losing, right? And you're going to finish all your capital, right? So know when to take a break, right? It's another skill that you also have to develop in order to be successful in trading, right? Then another thing that I also learned is that you don't have to trade everything, right? So of course you know that such and such pay works better for me, these pays work better for me, these ones don't, right? As for me, I know that Boom 500 and Crash 500 are actually better for me when I'm trading Boom and Crash. The pays that the Boom and Crash that doesn't work for me usually is the Boom 1000 and Crash 1000. Though Crash 1000 is a little bit better, but Boom 1000 nowadays I don't even look at it because usually if I make money today, tomorrow I give it back, and the following day I even go in loss, right? So it's gambling, right? It's so do I say it's gambling, but it's not consistent, right? I don't make money consistently on that pay, right? Most of the times I'm usually losing money, right? Or maybe it's just because I don't have that confidence with it. I'm not used to it. So the pairs that work best for you. You don't have to trade everything. There are multiple pairs. There are so many pairs, especially if you are trading using derivative, right? There's also a link for derivative. There are currencies, synthetics, everything. Imagine all those pairs and you want to trade everything. Who are you, right? So it's better if you have a few pairs that you can focus on, right? So like that you can study and analyze until you know them in and out, right? It's like you know this in and out, right? So you have to know your pairs that you trade in and out so that you can be more profitable. You know what to do, when to do, and when to risk, and all that, right? Then another thing that I also learned is that you don't have to be overconfident when you start making so like when you start making profits, but so like when you're in a winning streak, right? You don't have to be overconfident, right? When you're overconfident, usually what you do is you risk how do I say this? But usually when you're overconfident, you over risk usually. Right? So let's say you've been winning your streak, you're in a winning streak, you're winning $10 on each and every trade, right? You're now in a floating profit of $100 or $120, whatever, right? And you are going to think, I'm winning, but I'm not risking. I'm not. So like if I was putting this in this lot size, I would have made 1,200 by now, right? And then when you make that, so like when you have that mindset, what usually happens, the next trade that you take, the one that you put that large lot size, it comes and takes all that profit, or even if it puts you in drawdown or in break even, but you've lost that money, right? So just keep, if you're having a winning streak, it means what you have to do is actually you have to analyze, why am I having a winning streak? Is it because I'm using this such and such a method, right? And it's actually better to stick to what you're currently doing, right? Because of course there's something that's working. What you have to actually do is study and see what's working for you so that you can actually keep doing that exact thing. And of course, as you compound, you're actually going to be making the same amount that you'd have risked in order to make the amount that you wanted to make, right? Then another thing that I also learned is that as for me personally, though this one differs according to preference, right? Depositing small amounts doesn't work for me. Like, what do I mean, right? So as for me, I used to, as in depositing those $10, it doesn't work for me. You deposit $10 today, you lose it tomorrow. You deposit another 10, you lose it again. You deposit another 10. It's so like it's monotonous, right? You keep on depositing, right? But you actually don't make any profit. You actually don't make anything at all, right? But what I actually encourage you to do is, if you are like me, it depends. If that works for you, if that strategy is working for you, then keep at it. But if you are losing money, check the records, right? Because you may be thinking that I'm losing small amounts of money, but if you check the records, past month, 3 months, whatever, you actually see that you've deposited maybe 100 and something. But why don't you just wait until you have 100 and something so that you'll be able to trade a larger amount, right? And don't over risk that larger amount also, right? So as for me, what works best for me is depositing larger amounts, right? So like, and I don't over risk that account. Why? Because if you have got a larger account, right, if this trade doesn't work out, you still have to have capital to enter the next setup. You still have capital to enter the next setup, right? Rather than risking all your cash in one, all your capital in one trade, right? If it loses, you're back to zero, right? And the next setup that you see actually works, but you don't have money in your account, right? So I actually prefer having more money in my account so that I can be able to take trades each and every opportunity that I can spot, right? So like that's just for me. If it doesn't work for you, then stick to what works for you, right? Then just the last piece of advice for you guys, right? I actually have to read this one out, right? It won't work out for everyone. It will only work for those who adapt and those who will be able to manage their emotions, right? So trading is actually not about those strategies and everything else, right? But what I actually want to think trading is, it's just a game of psychology, right? Just a game of adapting, being able to adapt, right? You see what works, you see what doesn't, and you keep on adapting. So like if you've watched Solo Leveling, and I'm an anime fan, right? If you've watched Solo Leveling, you see that in each and every situation, right, you have to adapt. You have to see this didn't work, so I have to do this in order to work, right? So the market, if you're a forex trader, you have to keep on evolving, you have to keep on advancing, adapting to current market conditions, to what works for you, analyzing and seeing what works for you, right? So if you are unable to adapt, and if you are unable to analyze yourself and see what you do wrong, what goes wrong and all that, I can promise you are not going to make it in trading. Rather, you have to keep on advancing, keep on analyzing, and you keep on growing, right? So this industry forces you to keep on growing, keep on investing, and keep on so like your psychologist, what's most important, right? It's not much about strategy. If you know just market strategy, as I told you before, you can go a long way. But as long as if you work on your psychology, and if you keep on improving on yourself, right? So that's it. What are the mistakes that you've made as a beginner when you're just starting out trading, right? And I think I just wrote this today, right? And if I meditate more, I can think of more mistakes that I made, and I'll actually make another video if you guys are interested, right? So, in fact, if you've got anything that you also want to learn, then just comment in the comment section down below, and I will be able to help you guys. Remember, you are the bridge between where you currently are and where you want to be. So work hard, especially when you don't feel like it. Peace.